It's a wonderful morning, and I wanted to share with you three most influential books I read. I would start with the first one. The first one is called Eighth Habit by Dr. Stephen Covey. So it is one of the wonderful books I picked. The reason being is most of us would have read Seven Habits of Highly Successful People, and it's a kind of a sequel to it. In this sequel, Dr. Stephen Covey talks about the various things. So few weeks back, we just talked about resolutions. What do we do? What do we do with the resolutions? Right? Maybe like we keep running every day, or we start dieting properly, or we do more exercise, we maintain our body health, blah blah blah. But in this book, he gives an overview of overarchingly how we can integrate the whole human life, right? So he talks about mind, he talks about heart, he talks about the body, and he talks about the soul. Why everything needs to be interconnected to make us all a perfect human being. So whenever I do that every year or every month, I just revisit, what did I do? What did I do for my mind? Did I read a new book? Did I listen to a new audio? Did I listen to any new TED videos and learn? Same thing goes to the body. When it goes to the body, did I do my routine medical checkup? Or did I do exercises 3 times a week, which was my goal? Or am I eating a right diet? So these are all the things I apply to the body. To an extension of the body, I go into a little bit of a personal finance management. Am I managing a finance properly? Am I the goal with that? So kind of extend that to the most, include that part of the family thing in the body as well. Then comes to the heart, which are close to the heart. Am I calling my mother in India regularly? How about the brothers and sisters? Am I keeping in touch with them? Did I forget anybody's birthday in the family? So those are all the things I make sure, like the people close to the heart or the community close to the heart, are you doing enough for that? And finally, I go to the soul part of it, like what is that something I wanted to do? Or what is that something I wanted to give it to community? Or what is that something I wanted to give it to my religion? So those are all the activities I would love to plan. So this new perception I got only through this book called Eighth Habit. So he wonderfully integrates the human spirit by saying that you to be successful, not only you have to pick one of these, you have to integrate the whole. And in this book, he also extends it to the point that how the same concept can be applied to the organization, and the organization can be interwoven beautifully with all these 4. Again, with this, I'll move on to my next book. So whenever I request you or urge you to plan, when you plan for your goal or resolutions, keep in mind, if you can integrate all these 4 parts together, it will be more effective and more meaningful. My next book I would like to share with you is something I read, maybe one of my first kind of the English book. I don't know why I love this book, but everything about this book is so beautiful. I could relate everything in this book to me personally. So this book is called The Catcher in the Rye. I read it 20 years back. In the recent years, I couldn't read it, so I don't on top of it remember, but I think that main character's name is Halden. So it's a kind of small boy's ramblings, and it talks about the thoughts. I couldn't believe I can imagine such a character. It sounded so like me, right? So I suddenly, I think about this, suddenly my mind goes totally. It is very impossible to control my mind. So I want to be everywhere, I want to do everything. When you ask for impromptu speech, I show up my hand. So I always believe in not getting mature so much and enjoy the moment and just do what you like. So I could relate that book, but again, I'm going to skip this book very quickly because I have not read it in the last few years. And the third book I'm going to share with you all is a management book, but at the same, this is something I have read recently. Maybe I can come back with you with the framework a little later, but it is one of the books written by the Stanford professor. It explains the strategic execution framework. So what this book talks about is every one of us have an ability, have a potential. But how do we make a potential and execute the things the way we want? We may think that, hey, we want to get $2 million by the end of 2015, but how do we execute it? You may have the potential, how do you execute it? So this book beautifully talks about the various pieces to the strategic execution framework. It talks about what's your goal, what do you want to achieve as a first domain, and it then says, why do you need it? Or do you have a culture in your organization or in your family individually if you want to do? Everybody totally agrees you want to reach there, but do you have it in you? Do you have the same kind of a culture in your family? And then it talks about the various other factors of how do you get the metric, how do you track it month by month, and it gets into the synthesis. Have you planned accordingly? Are you executing your projects according to your main goal? And finally, how you are running successfully with it. So these are all the 3 wonderful books I have read and which have influenced me significantly in my life. And thank you all for the opportunity to share with you, and have a great day.